Hi there, my name is Justus and welcome to the Just Us Express. Right now it's just us having a conversation. And today's train of thought, I really don't even know what I'm going to talk about yet, and that's all right, because something that's been on my mind for a while now is the state of romance. I know, right? It's a touchy subject. Everyone's already like, ooh. It just splattered all over me. That's funny. It was splattered everywhere. Luckily, it didn't get on my Bible. I was doing some research the other day, and I found some interesting numbers, and I would actually have to pull these up again. I don't remember where I was reading this. It was a very busy day, and I just happened to briefly stumble upon these numbers. But something like 4 out of 5, like 70 to 80% of women expect men to make the first move in a romantic relationship. You know, if you're dating, or if you're attracted to one another, if there is that energy between you, it is expected that the man make the first move. However, those exact same women who, those exact same percentage of women who expect men to make the first move, 4 out of 5 times, they perceive men making the first move as creepy, or as a form of stalking, or as a form of harassment. So I'm just looking at I'm just kind of breaking it down in my head. If men are expected to make the first move, but are, let's see, 4 out of 5 times, wow. If men are expected to make the first move more than half the time, but almost all of the time are perceived as being creepy, as harassing, then how are they ever supposed to make the first move? And then vice versa on the woman's part. We live in a society where women are finally being recognized. They went a long time without proper recognition, at least within our personal recorded history. There was a long period of time when they were subjected to great abuse, to great heartache. Not discounting that. But women finally get to vote. Things finally start to change. Okay? We stop dividing and we start going, hey, women have the same rights as everyone else. But what we did when we did that, because people were so wrapped up in taking their power back. I'm a woman. And it's not just, this hasn't just happened with women. I feel like this is going to it becomes a really dicey subject very quickly, because you're going, why are you just talking about women? Well, it goes both ways. But when you have this whole movement of women, and not just that, well, I'll keep it simple. I'm not going to complicate. But when you have this whole movement that takes place of this entire group of people, this group of individuals who've had enough, and rightfully so. I'm not discounting that. But they've had enough. This is it. I am done. I'm taking my power back and keeping it for myself. And I know you're thinking, well, that sounded selfish. That's not what people are thinking. No, I don't think that people are directly thinking that. I don't think that people walk around trying to hurt each other. I don't think that women walk around expecting men to always make the first move and then always think that they're creepy. I think that there's a thought process that's in play based off of a propagated belief system. I'm sorry, that's what it is. That's like, and you're thinking, okay, what do you mean by that? I'll give you an example. Okay? All right. LGBTQ plus? Yeah. That's a lot. I'm just straight, so. This is a straight white male over here. But when that movement first started, I remember how big of a deal it was, and it was all over the news. Everyone was talking about this. There's parades, like when gay marriage was finally legalized. And I remember this. I remember when this happened. When gay marriage was finally legalized, I remember talking to my grandpa, and my grandpa's not. My grandpa's a great person, but he's not exactly accepting on certain fronts, and so he was upset about this development in our country. And I remember looking at him and saying, Grandpa, there are so many there's so much more important things happening in the world right now than this. And I know that your sexual orientation is important, but oh, man, right now while you're watching this video, and this isn't a lie, this is actually happening. I don't have to be there to know that this is happening. This is a reality. Okay, this is just the world that we live in. Unfortunately, this is the world. But right now, while you're watching this video, there's a 5-year-old who's being penetrated to death. Right now, while you're watching this video, there's an entire group of families and an entire group of people, thousands of people, stuck in a mining pit, pulling out the metals for your phone, and they're being paid pennies, if that. And that's their life. While you're sitting here watching this video, there are humans that are being sold. People are being sold into slavery. We live in a day and age where we live in a time where for the first time, in recorded human history, slavery is illegal. And yet we have more people in slavery today than we ever have ever. And you don't believe me about that? You don't believe me? Why would you know? How would you know? How would you know that these things are going on if you're not paying attention? How would you know that these things are even happening if you're so concerned about your sexual orientation? Oh my God! Ugh! Who cares if you have a penis? Who cares if you have a vagina? What are you doing with it? What are you doing with you? What are you doing with your life? Who cares if you're bi or straight or this or that? I don't care. No one really does. The only reason that everyone started to care so much is because it was propagated through a media campaign. That's why. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for people to be able to have their sexual orientation figured out. Know thyself, because when you know yourself, you know the enemy. Who is the enemy? The enemy is not your neighbor. The enemy is not your friend. The enemy is not your family. The enemy is not you. The enemy is divisiveness. The enemy is fear. The enemy is hatred. The enemy is not a human being at all. And we're so busy pointing the finger at everyone. Michael Jackson once said, if you want to make the world a better place, then look at yourself and make a change. There's an old movie called Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey. And in this movie, Jim Carrey is a very funny guy. He is. Jim Carrey plays this news anchor, or he's trying to be a news anchor, I think. He keeps getting put in these ridiculous jobs. He's trying to get that big break, but no one really appreciates him, and no one really sees what he's capable of. Well, he finally has a bit of a breaking point, and he screams out to God, cries out to God in his agony. And God actually comes down. And God, in this movie, God is played by Morgan Freeman, which I thought was a brilliant casting choice because Morgan Freeman has an elegance and has a piece to him that was really able to translate the love that God really has to give. Because Morgan Freeman's character, God, gives Bruce, Jim Carrey's character, all of God's powers over a specific domain of city for like a certain period of time. Bruce has the ability to do anything, and the first thing he does is satisfy himself. Sound familiar? Yeah, it does. Everyone wants the world to be different. Everyone wants things to change. What are you doing about it? And I know what you're thinking. What are you, Justus, what are you doing about it? What am I doing about it? I work every day, all day, to generate awareness to the best of my ability. All the videos that you see on Clayfield, all the videos that you see produced to Clayfield, the YouTube channel, the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, the TikTok, every single video that you see was edited by me. Okay? Every piece of content, I poured over that piece of content. I thought that piece of content through because I want to generate awareness. I'm going to start a conversation. Are you willing to have a conversation with me? Or do you just want to argue? My name is Justus. And this has been the Justus Express. I hope you're thinking about my train of thought.